Hey, Rockstar. I forgot my train of thought. No, just kidding. Hey, Rockstar. Um, the author, Evie Pomporis, in her book, Becoming Bulletproof, she once wrote, being willing to help others is the antidote to fear. Welcome to episode 76, Rockstar. Man, it's going to be a good one with special guests and everything. First guest of 2023, Miguel, Mr. Producer. Go and do the thing you do best, bro. Rockstar. Hey. Hey, Rockstar. Hey, Rockstar. Hey, Rockstar. Hey, Rockstar. Hey, Rockstar. 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 Hey, Rockstar. Welcome. This is a storytelling platform designed to empower you to build yourself up physically, spiritually, mentally, socially, and financially. Why stories? Because stories live on. They are eternal. They are a powerful reminder of what one can accomplish when opportunity presents itself. So listen carefully, learn the lessons, apply them to the Big Five, and become the rock stars of your industry. And we are back, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls. Welcome to Hey Rockstar, episode 76. And today I have a very special gentleman, a person who has become kind of like a coach, a mentor. Actually, we've been working together in a lot. This man is an entrepreneur. He's got so many titles. He's a very busy individual, and I am very appreciative of him because he took time of his busy schedule. He's taking time away from his beautiful family to come and just drop some gold, drop some encouragement, and just drop wisdom for you all today. So without further ado, Mr. Jacob Bruce, welcome. Oh, sorry, Jacob Bruce. Welcome to the show, my man.
Thank you so much, Hosa. Yeah, it's an honor, it's a blessing to be here. Thank you for inviting me and giving me the opportunity to come on here and have this conversation with you. I know we were talking about it, and we just want to come in here and conversate, have a good conversation, and see if how many people out there we can help with the stories and stuff that we have to tell. So I really appreciate you, and I'm excited to finally be on your number one fan. Hey, Rockstar, right? So fired up.
Real quick, I'm gonna change this to here. Say something to me real quick, Jacob.
Can you hear me now?
I can hear you. So I'm off the headphones now that I don't have music. I keep the headphones on so I can keep my music on stereo. But now that the music's over, we can just
we
conversate and have a good chat. All right. So where would you say that you consider yourself? I mean, I introduced you as an entrepreneur, which being an entrepreneur has many different areas of expertise because it just depends on where you're at. But just so that those who haven't met you yet, where would you consider yourself a rock star? In what industry do you consider yourself a rock star in?
Yeah, so I capitalized myself in the fitness realm. I've been a personal trainer for about 10 and a half years, and I was able to make kind of my name here in Stockton and other places as well too. in that kind of realm, CrossFit, weightlifting, gymnastics, bodybuilding, all that and stuff. So me and my wife own a gym right now, so we're still somewhat part of the fitness realm. But then I ended up getting into finances, and you're probably thinking, Jacob, how do you go from fitness to finances? And then it's like, man, like you have no idea how much they correlate, right? Because the difference between fitness and finances, there's not much difference. It's all about habits, consistency, stuff that you need to do that you don't want to do. So when I came into this financial realm as well too, as where I met Hosa at, it's something that really caught my eye to actually go out and help people, not just with their fitness goals but their finance goals as well too, helping them in all aspects. So
Well, we appreciate that. And of course, Jake has been in the business, or at least the financial industry, almost 2 years now, or a little bit more. Um, and but so he's got experience, and I'm glad that I get to learn from him. But you know what? Let's just start from the beginning, my man. If you wouldn't mind, just share us a little bit about your story. Things you've gone through, life lessons, and we'll pick at it, and we'll pull some gems for our audience.
yeah, pick and choose. So I mean, I'm from the Bay Area. I'm from California. I don't know, Jose, you have a lot of people in Texas and Tennessee and all over the place, but I'm coming here from California, right? So here in California, I was born in the Bay Area, San Leandro, California, to be exact. And different upbringing, right? Great parents, great family. Ended in the beginning, I ended up getting in a lot of trouble. A lot of trouble that I shouldn't have been in. Good kid, really good at wrestling, really good at the stuff I wanted to do, but I just um, couldn't behave, right? So when you can't behave, one day I came home and my mom had all my stuff. I was a junior in high school, and she had all my stuff planted on the front porch and was like, "Hey, you're moving in with your dad." And I was like, "What?" Like like that bad of like, "Hey, you're getting kicked out." And I was like, "Oh man, junior year of high school, kicked out of your house." So I go to this new school, new realm, second half of junior year, and I was like, "Man, what am I gonna do?" But I was able to use, like I said, I've always been really good at talking to people. I've always been really good at relating with people. So I was able to build up that base of having some friends, not being lonely, not being that person that kind of just walks around the school. So I was
Mhm.
able to do something like that. What really sucked about that is I couldn't wrestle, right? It was an inter-district transfer, so they actually took me out of wrestling my junior and senior year. So I actually couldn't do the sport that I loved, and couldn't do the stuff that I wanted to do. And I actually had to join swimming. I joined swimming, right? And you're probably thinking, a wrestler, 100, 155, 160 pounds, pure muscle. What the heck is this guy doing in swimming, wearing a Speedo and all, right? And funny story of that is kind of, my coach was like, "Hey, you have to wear a Speedo, because when you wear a Speedo, if you guys don't know this, the less clothes that you wear, the faster you are, right? Because it kind of does all the, you get the scale of the water. So he's like, "Hey, you need to wear a Speedo. You need to be like everybody else." And I was like, "No." And he's like, well, only people that have big. And I was like, "Okay, I'll wear a Speedo." And I don't have a small one, right? So I jumped into the water, and I was like, "Hey, I told you I can wear a Speedo." And I didn't sink like I thought I was going to. I went through some stuff there, and I enjoyed swimming. It was crazy. We had 5 o'clock practices, 5 a.m. practices, and it was something big that got me out of my comfort zone. I didn't know how to swim, so it was really something that really changed my eye. I went from wearing 3X shirts, pants that were too sagging below my knees, wearing Air Forces and Jordans, to wearing Hollister, wearing flip flops and shorts and all this stuff. So it was a big, drastic change, because my dad made this decision. He's like, "If you move here, there's no other, if you get kicked out here, there's nowhere else that you can go. So you're going to listen to my rules. You're going to, everything I tell you to do, you're going to do. And if you don't, you're going to go on the streets." Right. You know what I mean? There's nowhere else for you to go. So he shaped that up, got everything in,
Mm.
chores list, all that stuff. And everything was just, he taught me how to be a man, I guess you can say. Right. I guess when I lived with my mom, there wasn't a lot of, she was my friend. She wasn't really like that parent figure that I thought that I needed. I was always been a yes person. And then when she started wanting to kind of tell me no, I didn't know what that meant. So I needed to actually move away from that situation because I need to learn how to be a man, how to respect people, how to, how to come into that realm. And, it helped me be a better person than I am today, right? Just having that upbringing, having a good family, but not really having the respect for people that I thought I needed to have, right?
I like that you said that because you just triggered a memory of mine. I do remember as a kid growing up, I wanted to be inside the house because the TV and the toys, all that stuff was here. But I remember those a time in my life when my mom said, "Hey, that's it. You need to go outside. Your father's out there working and he's doing stuff out there." I'm like, "Why?" Like, you need to go with dad. And I remember asking my mom later on in life, "Why is it that you sit me out there?" Like, I guess this would what's the word? Well, it just made me different from other Latino boys my age, because most of them are like all about the moms. And don't get me wrong, I love respect my mom, but I asked mom, why was it that I want to be around you, but you kept pushing me towards my father? She goes, well, because there comes a time in a boy's life when he needs to learn to become a man, and I can't teach you that. Only your father can teach you that. So you need to be around him. He's not perfect, but he will teach you what you need to. So that is good. And I don't think our conversation is gonna go in that today, but that's another conversation for a need for fathers in households, or just need for a father figure in general. And sometimes some of us don't get that until later on in life. With mentorship, we find someone because our fathers weren't present in our lives. But no, it's great that I mean, given the circumstances, it was something that it was a happy accident at the end, and
Absolutely.
how things wound up changing for you when you had a different viewpoint. Because fathers are a little more Brit, more stern, if anything. At least they need to be. They
Yeah.
definitely need to be.
Yeah. He
But
definitely.
moving on to that. All right, so now you're learning the ways of becoming a man. You're starting you're cleaning up your act,
Yep.
for lack of a better word. You're learning to use all your attributes and your attractiveness. Let's just make yourself as attractively as possible through how best you can. So now you're moving on in life. You're in high school. I mean, what happened after that? After after you got into the sports, or after swimming, what was the next transition in your life?
Yeah. So, I didn't like school. I'm not a big on school person. I'm not one of those people that like sitting down in places. I have really bad. I can't sit still for a long time. So what happened was I was like, there's no way I can go to college, right? I was like, there just wasn't a way where I was like, when you take that, when you supposedly take that year off and you'll go in next time, right? You're like, I just did 12 years of I just did 12 years of school. Let me just take 1 year off. Well, that 1 year ended up being, I never went to college. I kind of dipped my toes kind of in there, some little kinesiology classes, but I was looking for something more hands-on. I was like, okay, what is something that I can do that I can actually be hands-on with, that I can help people with? I've always wanted to help people, but I was like, okay, if I don't go to school to help people, what can I actually do? So I ended up getting into fitness, right? And the reason why I loved fitness and when I got in love with fitness is because everything was hands-on, right? I can see someone do
Mm.
a back squat, I can see someone do a deadlift, I can see someone bench press, I can point out what is wrong and what is right, and I can fix the form and fix everything that I needed to do. And I liked having that control, and I liked that I was always standing, I wasn't sitting. And it wasn't just fitness that got me into there. I actually became the fitness coach, but what really got me excited when I was a wrestler, I was like, okay, I want to wrestle in college. It wasn't the same. I didn't want to go to college though. So I was like, okay, what do I need to do? I was like, so what's the first thing you see on TV? You see cage fighting, MMA, right? Yeah, like
I was the first thing I see on TV is comedy, but go
you're
ahead.
like, you're
Cage
like
fighting.
I'm gonna go be a comedian. No, I'm gonna go be an MMA fighter, right? Like, what? You're gonna go be an MMA fighter? My dad was all for it, and he's like, yeah, the manly stuff inside of you, like, yeah, go be an MMA fighter, right? So I ended up finding some gyms. I actually correlate me meeting my wife 10 and a half years ago, 11 years ago now, because I was her MMA coach,
Mm.
right? So it's all correlated together, right? It's really cool. So I ended up joining MMA fighting, right? So I joined a gym. I loved everything about it. Of course, when I got in there, I felt uncomfortable. Not a lot of people get used to getting punched in the face, right? So it's one of those things where you get punched in the face and you start like, okay, this is real, right? And during that little span of time, like I was able to build some relationships, you become a lot closer to people when you have like this little group that is just doing things together, right? So
Mm.
we're training every single day, 2 or 3 times a day. You start getting this brotherhood. So it went from where my dad was to now, not only was I hanging out with people who weren't younger than me, I never really hung out with people who were younger. I always hung out with people who were older than me, like 30, 35. And I was like 18, 19, 20 years old. So I've always hung out with people who are older than me. So I've always had people who had families, people who just liked working, right? So it
Mm.
just made sense to the work where I like to work now. A lot of people don't understand that, I've been around grown people for a long time, and it just made sense that, you
What
know,
what do you
being
think attracted you to mature people?
I think I was just, once I got out of high school, I was just tired of all the antics, right? It was
Mm.
all the drugs, it was all like the party, and it was all this stuff where it was kind of like, I felt like after high school, and believe it or not, in high school I did a lot, right? And it's like, after high school, and you're like, I don't want to do that anymore, right? I want to find a path, I want to find a vision, and I want to like not mess up anymore because I went from messing up. I didn't tell you the reason why I got kicked out. It was more of a behavior thing, but
Mm.
with what I told you, you probably have an idea of the reason why I got kicked out and the reason why I had to move, right? It was just wrong. When I say wrong people, it's like wrong group of friends, right? So wrong group of friends. I was hanging around, and my mom's like, "Hey, I can't have you turn out to be what I think that you're going to turn out to be," and that's where I was at. So MMA really turned everything around. It really
Mm.
had me understood myself because I don't know if you guys know this, but if you sign up to fight someone, right? You sign up to fight someone, you sign a contract, your hands, you're a lethal force now, right? So you can actually go to jail, go to prison because you actually train to
Yeah.
actually, I wouldn't say kill someone, but you actually train to beat up someone, right? So it gives you kind of that, and when you're younger, that's like, okay, like I didn't really understand that, but really starting to understand like how problems acted and how everything were to come, like, really feeling myself out of if I were to have an altercation, like really calming down, asking questions, letting them understand. It really gave me a bigger outlook on the way the fight game worked, that there's a lot of people out here that know what they're doing, and it's scary out there, right? And
Man. Actually, I got a few thoughts on that, but before I move on, I got to give a shout out to Carl Fontanez.
woo, let's go, Carl.
Carl is another great person that we've met in the business, and I got a privilege of meeting him 2 months ago, and hopefully I get to see him next week when I go to California for our little get together. But shout out to you. Oh, by the way, in case you didn't know, if you're watching this live, you're more than welcome to comment and put and get in the chat on either Facebook live or I'm also streaming on YouTube. Periscope through Twitter, but I don't think anyone really comments on that one. But if you comment and your comment is relevant to our conversation, I would gladly highlight you, give a shout out to you. Carl's comment is relevant to us because both of us rock, my man.
Both of us
so,
rock.
so no. Okay, so it's interesting. Let's talk about violence in a good sense, if you don't mind.
Yeah.
We'll go with that one because
Go
I've
for
been listening to more people and like I will tell you in my upbringing. Now I grew up the good boy. I had a grew up saving face, but I do remember two times in my um, high school or just school career. Not I didn't fight in high school because if I in high school I finally started playing football, which that helped you know get rid of a lot of that testosterone, burn a lot of that energy. But I remember middle school I got in a few fights, and you know I won't get into the reason why. It was more of like defending
it. Okay.
someone or a friend of mine, whatever. So I was always a defender, but like I never really got into any kind of like physical fights. But I remember one of my business mentors when I started going into the high ticket sales world. He mentioned that one thing that, and he was talking to men mostly in this circle. He's like, every man needs to know. An attribute of violence. You need to be able to know how to become violent, but you're strong enough to be able to maintain yourself. You got
Absolutely.
to be able to know how to fight and defend, protect, but you also got to be so strong, so confident that you don't have to.
Absolutely.
W- And what I see today, unfortunately, at least whenever I taught in high school, I see a lot of young men or young boys, or I don't want to get in trouble by saying this, but I feel like the girls were more ready to fight than guys were to get into any kind
Always.
of fights. Most of them were they were like very passive, very they don't know how to fight.
Yeah.
But I mean, is there any truth to that? What he said about the discipline of knowing that you can become violent doesn't mean that that's what you need to do. It's just, I guess, because the title, and I don't want to get, we're not going to go this way because I don't want to get,
You're like,
I don't
oh,
want to get censored. But
right.
but masculinity or at least it's been deemed toxic. The fact that men can become violent, but
Yeah.
isn't there a need, or is at least an ability to know if I need to, I can defend, I can fight. Do you think that'd be something that at least guys need to at least experience once in the world, once
No,
in their life?
and that's guys and women. You know, the
Yeah.
reason why I chose, the reason why I chose, even family sense. I still do boxing, Muay Thai. I still do CrossFit. The reason, and I'll tell you the reason why I chose CrossFit instead of looking like Chris Bumstead and looking like a bodybuilder
Yeah.
is, the attributes that you get if you're fighting or if you're doing CrossFit, right? I like to do functional things because if something were to ever go wrong, I want to make sure I'm able to actually do something, right?
Mm,
So same thing here. It's like I don't think I would ever throw a first punch. I don't think I'll ever throw a first kick or an elbow or anything. But I know if anything were to happen to my family, anything were to happen to my kids or someone that I love and care about, I knew that I would be able to defend myself and be able to um, disregard disengage the situation, right? It's
mm,
never when you start knowing the violence of what you can do, you never really try to hurt someone, you just try to disengage, right? So in every single realm, but knowing that you could is always something because you never know if it's a life or death situation. You never know in that situation when you're at a Walmart or you're at somewhere walking down the street and someone's just having a bad day, like and it happens. You see it in the world today where someone just had a bad day and something ended up happening, right? And it's like, you don't know when that situation and having that type of training where I think all women and men should be able to go take some eskrima classes, being able to take away knives and being able to take away objects and weapons, being able to actually disengage the situation for even giving you a split second, because that's all it takes sometimes, a split second, right? A split second of someone trying to attack you, you disengage it, you run away. Because
yeah.
in the end, you're not going to want to fight that person, right? They're probably bigger than you. They're probably, on something. They're probably not in the right state of mind to be able to do that. So you never want to like do something and then just stay there, right? It's usually disengage, get your family away, and then you kind of keep disengaging. You want to run away as well too. You call who you need because it's never fun to do that to people, right? It's never fun to have to be in that situation, which is why I try to avoid it. I hate conflict. You can ask my wife. I hate having arguments. I hate having conflict. I try to avoid it. I try to be upfront with everything that I do because I hate feeling like that. I hate having conflict, right? So
All right. Well, now I think I know where we're going to transition from here. No, because I like that aspect of the fight,
hmm
the ability to have to fight. Now, most of us would think about it in a violent sense, but what about things that we need to fight for, like moving
hmm
on, like in life? Um, let's kind of focus on that one because I kind of want to focus on the business. I want to focus on becoming an entrepreneur, keeping in the fight for and I
yeah.
might get in trouble for this, but I don't care. But I bought this book. A lot of you guys know that I'm a big advocate for Rich Dad Poor Dad by Robert Kiyosaki. I
Good
had
book.
heard that he wrote this book a while back, and I found it when this last time I was in San Antonio. We went to the bookstore, and I found this book, and it's his latest book called The Capitalist Manifesto.
Oh, good book.
I've been eating this up, like just staying up late reading it, but it talks about the right sense of how to, I'm not gonna get into that, but because I don't want any key terms out there.
Right.
But in spirit of that, talks about fighting towards what you believe in, fighting forward towards your financial state, for your financial literacy, for just to make sure that there is a fight, there's a call, there is a battle to fight out there between those who would rather just not do anything and those who don't know what to do, and
Yeah.
how there's not enough time or enough of us to go out there and help them others. So let's talk about that. How did you get move on forward in your fight towards where you are today?
Absolutely.
Speaking, boom, I'm released to you.
Uh-huh.
Let's move forward. How did the fight move you forward into your business or into your
Yeah.
work life?
No, it really brought me forward to, just sacrifice that you have to make to become successful, right? There was a lot of sacrifice. I don't know if any of you guys have cut weight before. Any of you guys have had
Mm,
to actually get inside of a locked cage and get inside of, like, actually looking at someone that wants to, potentially hurt you. So all those ways are able to actually, where when you get into the entrepreneurial space, it's a lot easier for you to make a phone call. It's a lot easier to have rough conversations. A lot easier to be able to put yourself in that position, because it's kind of like when I went skydiving. It's like, Jacob, you went skydiving. You should never, nothing should ever scare you, right? You jumped out of an airplane, right? You know what I mean? Like, it's one of those things. You jumped out of an airplane. And let me tell you, getting locked in a cage with someone that's looking to do something to you is a lot scarier than jumping out of an airplane. You have people screaming your name. Let's go, Jacob. Let's go, Jacob. I'm like, man, like, and everything feels like a dream until you get punched in the face,
mm,
hit, and then it's like, oh man, I'm awake, right? Oh my god, I'm awake, right? So that correlated all into what my fitness entrepreneur was. It was the no quit, no excuses given mindset, right? And that no excuse, no quit mindset is what's built this to today. And every single time I grow for the better, right?
mm,
We're in a lateral building, business, to where we're always trying to grow. Every single day I'm trying to get 1% better. If I can get 1% better every single day, I know my life's going to be okay. And that can be in either bucket, right? 5F's: faith, family, finance, fitness, and fun. Every single day I'm going to try to fill every one of those buckets up by 1%. And I know at the end of the year, that's 360%, 365% that I can get better and put myself in better situations. So as I got into CrossFit and as I got into the self-employment range, I was looking for something that, training was good, but if talking about Robert Kiyosaki, right? We're thinking about that, you think about the cash flow quadrant. When I
mm,
was a personal trainer, I was self-employed. I owned a business, but for that business to make money, I needed to be there. So what does that mean for me? I needed to be there from 4 a.m. to 11 o'clock at night, because I know every single hour I had to be making money. That was the only way I could make money, right? So that self-employed mindset, I loved being my own boss. I loved being control of my time. I was able to work out 3 times a day, but did I have freedom? No, I didn't have freedom yet. It was one of those things where it's like I was stuck, where I was super tired, but I was super passionate and I loved what I did. And let me tell you the reason why I left personal training, why I left it to go to the construction, was I started not liking my passion anymore.
oh,
Yeah,
I have a saying as a speaker: when a get to becomes a have to, then for me becomes I don't want to.
exactly.
Oh, oh.
Exactly.
All right, go on, go on. Sorry.
So the reason why I left personal training is I didn't have, I still had the passion, but I needed to make money doing it.
Yeah,
So just kind of like you're saying, when you need to make money, you need to pay your bills, you need to do the stuff. You start putting in programs that you wouldn't really put in before, and you start telling yourself, like, man, should I really had that person do this? Like, no, like, you should have done this, and that. But it helped pay my bills, right?
yeah,
And then the biggest thing was, just the real reason, was I was having another kid on the way, and I knew that if I had one kid and we were getting by pretty well, but once the second kid came, I was like, I don't know if I can really do this, right? I was like, okay, I know every Thanksgiving and Christmas time people quit. I don't know if you guys know, in the personal training realm, Thanksgiving, Christmas, people like to save their money, and you already have it spent in your head. So what do? You spend it already, right? Oh, don't worry, blah 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 is going to pay me on the 18th. Oh, Jacob, I got to take a month off. I was like, what? I already spent it. It's already, you know, it's all the gifts are in my head. So it's like, man, like I couldn't live off that. So I was
Yeah.
like, okay, what's next? I'm gonna join the construction union. Why did I join the union? Benefits, health, all the stuff that you think is going to be the best bet for you. And you're like, okay, this is the next best thing where I'm making decent money and everything makes sense. But, you know, thing about that is you don't have fun driving 3 hours to work and 3 hours back. Right. I love swinging a hammer. I love using a drill. I love putting, you know, 2x4s and, you know, all the stuff and help building. But um, I never got to see my family. I did it for my family, and I started seeing my family less than where I'm at today. You know what I mean? And it sucked. It was one of those things that I thought I was doing the right thing, and it wasn't the right thing. But was it a learning lesson? Yeah. It was a learning lesson that I don't like traffic and I don't want to drive in traffic anymore, right? So, I don't want to be in traffic anymore, right? So, but it gave me a bigger outlook on family,
Yeah.
how important money is instead of family, right? So family was more important, even though I was making decent money. But it's about the time and the memories that I knew I had a 1 year old, and I wanted to spend the time and the memories that I have with that 1 year old a lot more than, you know, sacrificing all that time to be away from her, right?
Maybe it's a different mindset, being a single guy and you being a married individual. But whenever you had to, when you felt like you had to leave your self-employment, your business,
Mhm.
and go to a corporate job, a job,
Yep.
did that feel like a setback to you at the time? Or, I mean, I mean, everything to me felt like I was moving forward. But and I'll tell you why. I'll share with this everyone else why I'm asking this, because to me it felt like a setback, even when I'm going through, business. In business, it's there's so many different times you're going through it. But just asking, if did it feel like a setback, or you really didn't think that way? You like, I just got to do what I got to do and to move forward with this.
I didn't feel it was a setback because I didn't know the idea of time. So in my head when I saw construction, I didn't know about I didn't know about the 3 hour traffics. I didn't know about all that really mattered was I was 26 years old. I lost my mom and dad's healthcare plan, dental plan. I was like, dang. My wife's like, hey, you got to get healthcare, you got to get dental. So when someone says, you know, my dad preached on 401ks and having a retirement. So when I got into the union, and it was healthcare, dental care, benefits, union, all those words that kind of come out, like you don't think it's a setback because you hear all those words that you've been hearing your whole entire life that are good. And what do? You're like, man, I'm in the best thing I've ever done, right? And then as time went on, I was in the union for about 2 years. I was like, okay, I can, you know, I started asking these people that have been here for 20, 25 years. I was like, hey, are you ready for retirement? He's like, not really. I'm not ready to take half of my retirement. And I asked him, when was the last time you took a vacation? About 10 years ago. You don't take vacations when you work the union. I was like, what? I was like, yeah, 10 years ago, right? Like, because when you're a union worker, it's like you're always, you know, when there's work, you go to work
Yeah.
every single day, right? So setback, no, because of the family aspect, the health care, the dental care, the 401k, the retirement, the life insurance, the pension, all that stuff is what brought me to there. And it's what, you know, you guys don't know this, but my father-in-law was a laborer, construction laborer in the union for 21, 22 years. And this is the main reason why I left was my father-in-law, you know, he ended up getting rheumatoid arthritis. He had to actually get discharged from the union because he worked so hard his whole entire life, working with concrete, working with cement. And I was like, you know, my wife already didn't want me to go into there because she never saw her dad growing up.
Mm.
I was gone. But it was an avenue for me to make decent money. It was an avenue for me to have health care, dental care, and then it was also just a streamline for me to do something with my life because all I've known is self-employment, self-employment. So it's like, okay, let's go, you know?
No, I had kind of what you're saying. You're seeing these guys that were working in the union. The union that I was part of was the stagehand union. I was part of Local 46 in Nashville, and then through, of course, working. lot of production gigs got me an opportunity to work and become a technical director for the Tennessee Performance Arts Center. Broadway shows, all the shows. I was living the dream because I was now in the entertainment. I work in stages. I was doing all this stuff. But I do remember there was this one gentleman. Um, I'll just say his name because I think he's already retired. But when we were working, his name was Chewy, and he was one of the heads of a certain area. I guess we were carpentry, and I remember sitting with him, and you could see in his face, he's Latino, so I related a lot with him. We would throw little Spanish jokes to each other.
Yeah.
Uh, but then I was
Chingadera and everything, right? It's
stuff
all I
like
heard.
that.
Yeah, the chingadera. I was like, what is that? I
But
was like,
I remember asking him because, like, I remember it was we had just finished a loadout for the
mhm,
Phantom of the Opera. We started at 9 p.m. and we didn't get out there till 5 a.m. I mean, but it was double pay, and then a certain hour it became triple pay.
yeah,
We got paid mad
yeah,
cash
you
for
get
that. It was good money, but I remember just looking at him, and he was just exhausted, tired. He's an older guy, and I just like, "Hey, Chewy, how long have you been doing this?" And he goes, "I've been doing this for 35 years." And in my head, I was like, I've only been doing this for 3 years and I'm already exhausted. I don't wanna see myself, doing this, like, for whatever remaining time because it's just it's ruining my body little by little. Because I mean, you're applying. I mean, I was strong. Instead of going to the gym, I mean, I was just working with
hurting.
them because there's a bunch of physical work, but at the same
Yeah,
time, I was like, "This is wearing out my body." Like, I had already made a mental decision. You know what? I think I'm not gonna be in this industry for any more than 5 more years from this date. But, the good Lord in his wisdom said, "No, we'll just give you 2 more years," because that's when the pandemic hit.
right. There
And
you go.
I wound up and that's the funny thing about jobs, jobs. Um, you're easily replaceable.
Always.
No matter how good you are, if you're only an employee, no matter how hard you work, no matter how much you do, and they might say the good thing, but at the end of the day, if they can find someone better that they can pay for less, or if for some reason they need to cut you, you are dispendable.
Yeah, all the time.
And so taking a look at my life, I'm like, I need to start doing something for me. I need to start getting work for myself and learn more about and I grew up around business owners. Like my dad and my brother-in-laws, um, even my little sister, her husband is their own contractor. So there's been people and I have aunts who own restaurants. So like I've been around people who have their own businesses. So I know about that life, becoming a business owner, a business operator. And so that's what it's easy to get into that entrepreneurship because I grew up with that and different things. Even in ministry, my dad is considered himself self-employed because of that. But uh, but anyway, so that's what led me towards that thing. So now you are now in construction and you are working hard. I'm not sure how cold it gets in California,
It's cold in the
but
Bay Area, but
I do remember, whenever it iced in Nashville and I was driving through a construction area, I was just looking out my window. My car's nice and hot, and I'm looking out at these people out there working in this ice because they need to be there. They need to finish the project because they had a deadline, and I'm like,
yeah,
God bless them. But anyway, moving on in your story then, if you
we're
had
getting
time
where I'm at
for
now. We're getting where I'm at now, right?
Oh, I know where you're at now. You know what? We can go there.
Yeah,
If you want to talk about that story or whatever, or what attracted to you, um, I'm sure he's listening to you, the the guy who got you into the business you are today.
right. He's like, oh yeah, he's listening right now,
But
and
did you ever have a point in construction, even though you loved and you enjoyed it, when you're like, you know, I don't know. Oh, you just share that because looking at your father-in-law, you're like, I
hmm
don't know. This is, and of course, your wife saying how she really didn't like that he was absent.
hmm
So that seed was already planted in you, like, "I
yeah,
need something better, something
yeah,
better." Let's
yeah,
talk about where you're at today or however you'd like to continue the story.
yeah. No, and then it goes right into the side note because I just saw it on Facebook. They're opening up an In-N-Out Burger in Tennessee.
Yeah, I saw that. I mean, I I have an In-N-Out here. Well, actually, right now I'm visiting Texas. I'm in Andrews, America, in Texas, but they have In-N-Outs here in Texas. I've had it. Heck, I almost went to In-N-Out. I almost ate at the was there one at the airport? Whenever I landed, um, but whenever this time when I go, I just might go to the In-N-Out just to see if it's different. To me, it's the same.
You got to bring me a
California
Whataburger because I
In-N-Out
like
tastes
to
the same.
compare it. I've never had a Whataburger before, so that's In-N-Out's the
Oh, I
best.
should have worn the shirt. My sister gave me this long sleeve shirt for Christmas that had Whataburger on it.
Right? So,
I've been. this year, we're day what? I still haven't been to Whataburger this
Day
year.
11. Day 11.
I've been in Texas because there's so much other places. Of course, we cook here. My parents, my aunts have restaurants, so there's just so much other places to check out that I don't really need to go eat out that often. But I do definitely need to hit Whataburger soon. We'll just say when. I'll take a picture. I'll send it to you.
Yeah, yeah. Just show me how it looks. You know what I mean? So, uh,
All right, let's go on with your story.
move on. All right. So what happened next is, I just got tired of all the driving, being the driving. And then what happened was I was at a Pete's Coffee with my mom. My mom lives in San Leandro. She lives in the Bay Area. We're at a Pete's Coffee, and I had this wonderful couple that I used to go to high school with walk up to me. And what I loved about the way this couple came, I can say her name. Her name's Stephanie, right? Walked up to me, and she was like, "Hey, I remember you from high school, and I want to ask you a question. I hope that's okay." And I was like, "Yeah, absolutely." Do you keep your options open for something better for you? A lot of people came and told me, I've always been in sales. I've always been really good at sales. A lot of people would always talk about me, just me, right? Just me. Hey, do you want to make a lot of money? Do you want to have freedom? And I was like, oh, I can get that anywhere, right? I know how to do that. But Stephanie came up to me and asked me, do you want an opportunity to where you and your family can get into a better place and you guys can be financially free and have financial independence? And I was like, I don't think anybody's ever asked me that. Like, I don't think anybody's ever cared about my family
Mm.
when they asked me about an opportunity. And that's what, now granted, then I met her husband, Beto. And, when we sat down, and I saw the opportunity, I saw everything. At that time, I was too busy. I thought I was too busy, right? I was too busy. I didn't understand it. I didn't you know what I mean? I was like, but I understand what you're doing. I love it. Sign me up, sign me up. And then I kind of just left, right? They started ignoring him for the last 6, 7, 8 months. And then what really got me, also, and this is big, what really got me, understood the value, but I wanted them to talk to my father-in-law. My father-in-law was in a union for 21 years, really good saving money, but had that Spanish. He spoke Spanish, right?
Mm.
So the problem is with everything that's happening these days is a lot of people don't talk to people that they don't know the language to. So what happened was he never got the proper financial education. He was very supportive of me, and he's like, of course I'll sit down with Beto so I can understand this. And as people go through, someone, he lives with us, and it was kind of like, we'll get to it later. We'll get to it later. We'll get to it later. That's usually how it goes, right? And what really got me into this business was, unfortunately, we December 27th came along, and my father-in-law ended up getting COVID, and it was one
Mm.
of those bad COVID times. One of those people that shouldn't have went outside, but he's one hard-headed person. When he's going to the taco truck, he's going to the taco truck. When he's going to the places that he wants to go, like, he's going to tell you, "Hey, you coming with me? Because I'm going no matter what." And he ended up, someone with rheumatoid arthritis, a couple, heart stents as well too. He shouldn't have, been outside. He ended up getting COVID, and unfortunately, my wife had to make a decision to let him go. Right.
Mhm.
She had to make that. He was on a ventilator for about 2 weeks, and the doctor just said, he's not getting better, and you have to make that decision. So to see my wife having to make that decision, I was like, man. And then going into that, it was like how expensive the funeral was, how expensive cremation, how expensive all that stuff was. And I started realizing, like, I was working at the time, so it made sense, but it kind of gave me more of a, what would you call it? Kind of like an epiphany type of thing,
Mhm.
or what do they call it when it's like a midlife crisis, or what I mean, like something where it's like,
Revelation.
yeah, revelation, right? And I was like, man, how many other people are feeling like I am right now? And that snap on moment, that revelation that I had right then and there, I actually changed my number. Beto stopped calling me, but I called Beto January 3rd. He knew about, of course, my father-in-law. He gave his condolences, and I told him, I was like, hey, I want to do this. He's like, you want to do this? And he's like, well, why now and not earlier? And he's like, I want to make sure that no one ever feels the way I felt on December 29th when my wife had to let her father go. I want to make sure no one ever has to feel the same way I did. And that's where I planted my flag, and that's where I had that passion. And that's where I really took charge to make sure that um, that this was something I wanted to take for the rest of my life, and this is where this company landed with me, right?
And ever since joining and what you're doing now, how
Mhm.
much do you feel you've grown?
Man, so I did it part time for 9 months. I was doing it part time. During that 9 month span, I was doing a bunch of appointments, getting the understanding of everything. But what I love about this industry is just the personal development that you're allowed to
Yeah.
get, the people you surround yourself with, right? You get to surround yourself with the Hosafat. You get to surround yourself with these big, huge leaders that really pour into you and really give you an understanding of how important you are and how important your family is. And they really focus on how your faith, family, finance, fitness, and fun can get better every single day. And they're living testaments on how it can happen and how it has been done, right? Because there's not a get rich quick, right? It's something
Yeah.
you're going to have to work for. It's something that's going to be a little bit tough, but it allows you to learn as you go. And I always ask people, what is a financial education worth to you, right? A lot of people are like, well, I think it's priceless, right? I mean, if you can know everything about financial education, why wouldn't you take it? And I was like, exactly, right? If you're not thinking about finances, it means you have no money, right? Because that should be the number one thing people are always thinking about is, paycheck that you're living the paycheck to paycheck. Guess what? Oh, I don't really think about finances. Well, you're thinking about getting your next paycheck, aren't you?
I
Right?
remember one time someone was asking me like, "Oh man, I don't think about money. It's a waste of time to think about money." Like, really? Like, okay, when you go to the restaurant and you open the menu, what's
Yeah.
the first thing you look at? What's there or the price added to the which item there? And they like kind of just sheepishly look away, like, "Oh yeah, look at the price tag." Like, I mean, I'm not saying it's a good thing or bad thing. I'm just saying you can't tell me you don't think about it because it's there. It's it's everywhere.
Everywhere.
Uh,
Yeah.
I think the best part is just to have an abundance of it, so you don't have to worry about it, think about it as much, or
I
use it to
think
go to help.
I think Andy Frisella said it best. The guy that owns First Form, right?
Mm,
Andy Frisella said it best. He owns First Form, and he has Maseratis, Ferraris, big houses, big company. And you want to know what he said when he knew he made it? He said he knew he made it when he took his whole entire company out to an expensive restaurant. The receipt came out. He put his card in and then gave it to the waitress. He didn't have to look
look at it.
have to look at it, and that's when you knew he was winning, and that's when you knew he was successful. It wasn't the cars, it wasn't the mansion, it wasn't everything that he's built. It was the fact that when he wanted to pay for something and take everyone he loved and care about out to dinner, he put the card in and just it didn't matter. And I was like, that's where everybody wants to be, right? And we talk about it a little bit, Hosa, when what are you sick of list, right?
Oh,
I,
yeah.
I think it's a big list, and if you guys are kind of taking a look at this, everyone understands what they're sick of. Credit cards declining, not wanting to buy the stuff you want at the store, always going on sale, all the, not being able to get a new car, not being able to pay a rent. But what I love about that sick of list is a lot better than, what you're dreaming of, right? Everyone doesn't know what a mansion feels like. Everyone doesn't know what a brand new car feels like. Everyone doesn't know what it feels like to be financially free. But I keep my what are you sick of list in front of me because I like crossing stuff out. Because I know the more I cross out, my credit card hasn't declined in 3 months. I just bought a new car. I haven't worried about rent in 3 4 months. I haven't been able to do that. When you start crossing out what you're sick of list, you start looking at your dream list and you see yourself getting a lot closer because you're focusing on what you're trying to do now, getting out of a rut. The difference between a rut and a grave is 6 inches. A rut is right here. The grave is 6 inches. So if you're in a rut, don't keep digging it. Don't keep going down. Get out of the rut and actually go to the next. So there's going to be another rut ahead, but you're not 6 inches inside the ground yet, right? So you can continue to keep grinding and keep being able to do the stuff that you want to do, right?
Awesome, awesome. That I've never heard that. The difference between a rut and a grave is 6 inches. All right. Well, as time progresses, I don't want to keep you here all day, although I'm sure we could, because you probably have meetings after this. And actually, I'm supposed to go speak tonight. I've been asked to go speak at a church here in an hour. But I wanted to just like in so far in your adventure, your journey.
Mhm.
and you're far from over because you're growing. But like, let's say there's the younger you, or just a youngin, or someone who's just interested in entrepreneurship. What would be, I don't know, three first good steps that you would tell them if you truly want to be an entrepreneur? Here's the cost you gotta put into consideration, or these are three things that I would say you need to look into just to start facing yourself towards the right direction. What would be those three advices you would, or those three tips you would advise this person?
Yeah, absolutely. The first one is just take the risk, right? Uh,
Mm,
go in there first, and then figure out if it works or not, right? So if there's an opportunity ahead of you, you feel like you feel like it's a good opportunity. You see it's mission and passion driven. Take the jump first. Don't count to three. Take that jump and really take that leap into faith to seeing if this is actually going to work out, because opportunities are God's placing in front of you, right? You have those opportunities. There's a reason why that opportunity came in front of you. It's up to you on how you want to drive through that opportunity, but that opportunity is there for a reason. So take that leap to get into that opportunity and see what exactly it's going to do for you, right? It can open up either more doors, it can open up different things that you want that is possible, but that opportunity landed in your vision for a reason, right? So really, number one, take a leap, right? Number two, have someone else believe in you before you believe in yourself, right? Borrow someone's belief before you believe in yourself, right? So when I came into this company, I had no idea anything about finances. I had no idea anything about how to do the presentations, how to feel comfortable. I was in an uncomfortable state at all times. But the belief that I had from my mentorship, the belief that I had from the people that were actually coaching me and believing in me, gave me every single step of the way to the person I am today. And that wouldn't have happened if I didn't take a leap onto those into this, and the fact that they believed in me more than I did and made me believe in myself to where I'm now I'm the one that believes in people that don't believe in themselves, and I'm putting
mm.
people in uncomfortable situations. So it's a for sure a paradigm effect where it just keeps going over and over and over and over again, right? You're going to do that over and over and over again. And then number three, I guess what I would say number three is get into something that you're passionate and has a great mission, right? It's something that you have to feel. It's something, they say it in a job, right? If you love it and you love what you do about it, you can't call it a job, right? So if you're constantly waking up, you have to wake up and be excited to come to do what you're going to do, right? So entrepreneurship isn't, it's about taking risk. It's about believing in someone when you don't believe in someone, but it's really about loving what you do and getting up every day and being excited about it. Getting excited about the ups, the downs, the lows, the problems, but the fact that you're able to control your time, you're able to control your income, you're able to control everything that you want to do with your family and your business. That's the reason why entrepreneurship is something that a lot of people forget to think about. It's not, I love the problems in my business. I love overcoming those problems. I love overcoming those obstacles because it's my business and I'm overcoming them. Right. So really being able to love what you do. They always say this. I think it was a post. I think even you posted was, the man who loves walking, the man who
Oh,
loves walking is going to make it farther than the man who's trying to get to the destination.
yep.
Because a man who has a destination is going to just see all the ruts and everything that's going on in the way. The man who just loves walking is just going to keep walking. He's going to pass the destination and keep walking. So it's the same thing in entrepreneurship. You have to love the walk. You have to love that aspect of what you're doing to be able to be successful. And that only happens if you take the leap and have and be able to take the consequences and take the love that you love, have someone believe in you in every step of the way, and then of course just find something that's mission driven and passion driven that'll get you to the next step.
Yeah. Speaking of someone who believes in you, shout out to Humberto
Woo!
Montoya. Look at that muscle he's got going on there. Um, Definitely someone who you might not see much about him in the social media, but he's gonna get there. He's starting to get on and and posted and find people. He's Humberto has poured a lot into Mr. Jacob and into myself as well, and we are very grateful for the time we get to spend because that man is busy. That man is. I'll text him and sometimes he won't answer me till midnight. Like I'm in bed now, Beto. But it's okay. At least he answered. But
Oh,
other than that, any other last words you might think you'd like to share or come to mind before we call this a good show, a great show. By the way, thank you, Jacob, for coming on today, for getting away from Pam and the kids, just to come share some nuggets of wisdom and tell us about your story, your adventure. But
Yeah.
before we end this show, any last thoughts that you feel, you know what, I'd like to share this with anyone?
No, I mean, just my last thought is just to end this out is, I'm very thankful for this opportunity. I'm really blessed to be on here today, and really, I just want to thank you for everything you do. I've been actually going back to your podcast. I've been actually going back a couple years, listening to you sing, listening to all the old stuff as well too. And I just want to say thank you for having this platform for people to come on and listen to, and really thankful for the fact that you put out content that's really gonna help people be a better person. And there's not a lot of people out there doing that, especially because I know you personally, and I know you're the person that really wants to go out there and make a change. But I'm really grateful and really thankful and blessed that you came into my life, and I'm super excited that I was able to get on this platform with you. And I always say I'm your number one fan. I just started, when you joined the business, but I'm always going to constantly be your number one fan. I'm always constantly going to be coming to your content, because I believe everything that you put out is something important, and everything that you comes out of your mouth is just something that's going to change people's lives. So I just want to say thank you, Rockstar.
Wow.
Thank you, hey Rockstar, for giving me that motivation.
I'm gonna Venmo you right now.
Yeah, that's how I want to end it, man.
Most people always ask the name, where it came from, and actually back and I'm honest with this. When I first started this, it was on Instagram. On Mondays, I would do a segment called Motivation Mondays, and people started telling me like, "Dude, we love what you did," and like, "Thanks for promoting that for me." And like, honestly, I do that for myself, because growing up, someone at one of the many things I went to, they said, if your life is worth living, then it's worth writing about. So they're really big on journaling. So I started journaling and writing things, good, bad, whatever. And then once I was going back to read my past entries like years ago, and I'm like, dang, I had so much wisdom growing up. And so, but like, so I guess to me, the more modern time, I mean, I still love to write pen to paper. That's a good way to just empty out my thoughts, my mind. But what I do now these days is video. So on Motivation Mondays, I was speaking things I've learned, things that I've been put into practice to make myself a better version of myself. And I did it because I knew that someday in the future I'm gonna have to go back. I want to go back to re-listen to myself say this to me. And that's why I started saying, "Hey, Rockstar," because I always, and it has to do with my very first podcast I put out there, the Pirate Rockstar episode primero. If you guys want to check it out, I talk about my declaration as a kid, and how I became I wanted to become a pirate, and my mom said no, so I decided to become a rock star instead. But so the title, I've always called myself the rock star because I've always had that mindset. But so I was addressing myself, but also it's a term of empowerment. It's a term of giving value to people. Like, hey, and actually that later on I came up with that little phrase, being in an ensemble and being, working on stages. I told someone, hey, don't let anyone call you just an ensemble. You are the rock star. Unless, of course, being in the ensemble is your thing, then
Yeah,
then you're one heck of a good ensemble kind of like. But it's always been about treat yourself, or believe that you are of value. So it all started off with that. I called myself that, but the people were taking it and running with it, and they loved it that I was sharing with them. And so when I decided to launch the podcast during the pandemic, one of my best friends like, "Hey, dude, why don't you just use what you use with all your Motivation Mondays? Call it Hey Rockstar," and that was the birth. But the actual ROCKSTAR, Hey Rockstar, was taken. So I decided to get fancy, and I put a 5 in there. And of course, this is way before I met you guys, and kind of what attracted me to y'all's business, because the 5 that you see there is the Rockstar logo, but it stands for the 5 areas of growth, the 5 areas of value that I believe that we should grow in. And it's physical, spiritual, mental, social, and financial, which is not far from faith, family, fitness, finance, and fun. So I'm like, it kind of, so, and it's still 5 points, and I'm a big advocate for 5, and the symbolism behind 5. 5 is the number of the hand of God. 5 is the number of grace. 5 is is there's so much depth to the number 5. So it's a good number. And you know me, I love odd numbers.
It was 6 or 4, but it's okay.
Other than that,
Yeah,
Mr. Bruce, thank you for your time. Thank you for being on the show.
absolutely.
We're gonna end it right here exactly on the hour. I'm going to put on my shades to
Oh,
address everyone. You're more welcome to have shades. I didn't tell you this, but if you happen to have shades. Oh, by the way, last question. If you want to be found, I kind of put your Instagram link on
on
the
the
notes. But
yeah.
if you want to be found, what's the best way for anyone to find you on the internets?
Instagram for sure. I'm on my Instagram a lot. So Coach Jacob Bruce. I put all the reels and stuff up there, motivation, financial, fitness, everything that you need to be a part and get better. I try to put out content that's gonna put you in a better position. So if you want any content that's out there that just motivates you and entrepreneur, fitness, finance, family, a lot of my family's on there as well too. Come on here and go check it out.
Awesome. Once again, thank you, Mr. Bruce, Jacob Bruce. He's coming to you all the way from Stockton, right?
Stockton, California.
Stockton, California. And I'm coming to you all the way from Andrews, America, here in the good old heart of West Texas.
Yes,
Uh,
Texas.
until I get back to Nashville. And
Yeah.
next week I'll be in California, and next month I'll be in Mexico. I'm gonna be all over the place. This
Woo,
is the year of adventuring for me. But I love that our business, we can, as long as we have internet, we can work from wherever. So, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, thank you for tuning in to Hey Rockstar. We hope that you found a lot of value that you can take, value that'll help you grow physically, spiritually, mentally, socially, financially, so that you can take it and apply it to your life to help you, first of all, detach from failure, take ownership of your life, and to develop the right mindset so you can then go and become the rock star of your industry. So until next time, again, all the way from California and Texas, we want to wish you much love and many blessings.